Hey again. So a lot of you have been saying to me, what about Nigel Farage's chart? Now, I did do his chart just to kind of look at the influences and what kind of personality he is in 2016. But it's definitely time to revisit his chart, especially now he's just going boom like this in terms of his Brexit party. He is having a similar thing, actually, to Jeremy Corbyn, because Uranus is positively affecting his Mercury, which is at 2 degrees of Taurus in the 9th house. So right now, Uranus is conjunct his Mercury, and his Mercury by birth is conjunct Jupiter. So this is bringing him a huge amount of impetus. As you can see, Jeremy Corbyn also is getting this boost. He's doing well in the polls, and Nigel is surging. So where should we start? Well, we should have a recap. Nigel is, of course, born on the 3rd of April, 64. He's in Aries. He has both Mars, the Sun, and Jupiter, all in Aries, all in the 8th house, which is why he's had these near-death experiences, like with the plane crash. And he had a very, very bad car accident that he took a long time to recover from. He's had prostate cancer. He's had a lot of near-death experiences, hence this in the 8th house influence. What's more, he's got Pluto conjunct Uranus on the ascendant. Uranus just falls into the 12th house, but Pluto is bang on his ascendant. This gives him his power, his charisma, his drive. That's why he's just a bigger character than everyone out there, because Pluto just gives him an awesome, power-packed personality that makes him a great influencer. People with Pluto on the ascendant really can make changes in the wider world. They can bring their influence to bear and change the course of destiny and change the course of things. They can also be extremely ruthless and extremely manipulative, right? So I think that's aside to his character as well. So the whole Scorpio theme, although he's an Aries, the whole Scorpio thing is big. He's got Virgo rising. Now, up until recently, I never really associated Virgo rising with politics, but George Galloway also has Virgo rising. And if I had to say what the two have in common, well, first of all, a lot of us on this channel relate to them both, don't we? Because they talk clearly, they talk simply, they are fantastic communicators because they are both extremely knowledgeable, witty, and they know how to use knowledge. I mean, a lot of people have knowledge, but unless you know how to kind of insert it at the appropriate moments and in the right dose so you don't overwhelm people, it's no use. And I think what they have is they're extremely good debaters. And I think why they're good debaters is because there's kind of a more shy, reserved, cautious side to them. I think in youth, they were both probably a little bit insecure about their intellectual abilities, which meant they worked much harder on them to hone them. And they became such good debaters because they made sure they were armed with information so they could beat who they saw as formidable foes. And as a result, they became the powerful communicators they are. Okay, his midheaven is in Gemini, yes. Right, so first of all, I want to tell you a little story. Now, this was told to me by a Lib Dem friend of mine. Do you remember fairly recently Paddy Ashdown passed away? Paddy Ashdown was the kind of forerunner of the Liberal Democrats. So Paddy Ashdown was fluent in Mandarin, and he actually worked for MI5. After he retired to MI5, he went down and got a job in the Oval with a defense contractor, Westmoor or Westfield, who made helicopters, right? At this particular time, Michael Foot was leading the Labour Party. The Tories were very concerned about his popularity and about the fact that he was very far left, a little bit similar to Corbyn right now. So the Tories hatched this plot, or should I say the deep state hatched this plot. Paddy Ashdown was going to become a Liberal or a Liberal Democrat. Suddenly, for no real reason, the Conservative incumbent MP in Yeovil resigns. So there's a by-election. Paddy Ashdown from nowhere suddenly decides to become a Liberal and run for the Liberal Democrats. And the Tories put up an extremely weak candidate, which the result is Paddy Ashdown wins that seat. And this heralds the birth of the Liberal Democrats as a new force in politics. It's exactly what the Tories wanted to dilute support for Labour. Now fast forward to 2019. We know David Cameron gave us the referendum because of the UKIP threat. When their referendum was done, they thought that had gone away. But because Brexit has been such a hash, UKIP again is beginning to surge in the polls. Plus on the other side, Corbyn is a big threat because Corbyn does appeal to a lot of people. The Tories are feeling on unsure footing. They are likely to lose some supporters to Labour, particularly Tory Remainers, and a lot of supporters to UKIP. Enter Nigel Farage and the Brexit Party. What has he done? Well, he's scooping up Tory support that might have gone to UKIP, and he's also scooping up some support from Labour Brexiteers, which might weaken Jeremy Corbyn. So what is Nigel Farage thinking here? Well, I found it a little bit odd that he assumed, quite wrongly, because as I said to you on another broadcast, even Kate Hoey's mother said, "Catherine, dear, you don't think they're actually going to allow you to leave, do you?" So Nigel was caught napping. He was a little bit naive when he walked away from UKIP, thinking that Brexit would unfold as we wanted. And he's taken a long time. But I think what it was is after Brexit, he was quite eager to run around and hang on Trump's coattails in a way that was a little bit cringe at times. I think he should have had a little bit more self-respect in terms of not making himself totally available to President Trump all the time in a rather embarrassing fashion. But he ran over there. Now he's decided that Brexit is the Brexit Party is the perfect vehicle for his new political ambitions. He has quite rightly spotted a gap in the market, right? He's shrewd. He knows Tory ain't got particularly strong leaders. There are a lot of hunger for a new populist party. I've noticed on his radio show, he's got a whole new attitude. Do you remember the picture in the 2016 referendum where he stood at a big poster and behind him there were the pictures of the refugees sort of in a curly like meandering fashion wandering across the countryside? It was, that picture, it was very controversial. He was criticized for it at the time because he was saying, "Do you want this?" or something like that. And they said it is demeaning to those people. Julie's totally changed his tune now, of course. He's not talking about immigration. He's not talking about any of those issues which do actually concern a lot of Brexiteers. He's changed his stance to, "I'm going to deliver Brexit and we're going to drain the swamp." So, right. He is politically ambitious. And right now, the whole purpose of the Brexit Party is to really be a referendum. Because if we elect these MEPs, and we do have those elections, in European elections, what's the point? You elect them, once they're there, they do nothing. Yeah, it's great for them because they'll be picking up a lot of money, right? So that's good for them. But otherwise, there's no point. The only point of this referendum is for his Brexit Party plus UKIP to get a large amount of the votes to prove that people really want Brexit. So it gives him a political power, and for his own sake, gets him back into Brussels. Now, one of the UKIP MEPs was saying that they attended a select committee a cross-party committee of MEPs in Europe, and they were all talking about should they give UK an extension, and UKIP said no. Nigel Farage said yes. He recommended that they do give the UK an extension. Why? If he'd said no, we could already be out. But he's seen an opportunity for himself, and I think he's got political ambitions now that are much bigger than Brexit, but Brexit is the vehicle, although his party is, of course, a one-trick pony at the moment. What I was suspicious about, first person he elects as an MEP is Rees-Mogg's sister. Now, that sends a bad message. That says it's Tory territory. He's interested in being a party for Tories, which I think will turn Labour's off. And a lot of the people he's selected are very wealthy. He hasn't really gone for younger people who might have maybe following YouTube or be young and vibrant. He's not picking people that are going to challenge him. And like a lot of people have said, he admired Geert Wilders for the fact that Wilders' party had subscribers, not members, which meant that Geert Wilders was totally in control. And Nigel Farage as well is having this Brexit party has subscribers, not members. He's the kingpin. He says what goes. It's all about him. It's his way or the highway. He's got total control, and that's the way he likes it. What with this Uranus, he's got Uranus opposite Saturn. That can be someone with kind of dictatorial attitudes who talks a lot about democracy and everyone who's having their say, but he talks the talk, but he doesn't walk the walk, right? He comes over as one thing, but he's actually a person after power, total control, doesn't like to cooperate with people. And he knows how to be very ruthless and marginalize people when he wants. He's not necessarily very good at getting on with people at the lower level. So how this party pans out in terms of his personality will be interesting, because I think, as I say, it's a vehicle for his political ambition. And I'm not sure he's going to have enough policies, because if he's not going to follow some of the policies that people on the right might want, like, for example, the immigration, then he's really closer to a Tory, isn't he? And I think that's the whole point. He's there as a fail-safe for the Tories so that they don't lose too many members to UKIP. I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. Now, what I see in his chart is a huge emphasis on the ninth house. So we've got Mercury activated in the ninth house by transit and also by Uranus by solar arc. Huge, okay? We've also got his solar arc Mars conjuncting Venus, which is in the ninth and ruling the ninth and ruling the second. Was there any others? Oh, yes, and his solar arc midheaven is square Mercury, which is in the ninth house and ruling the 10th. So what I'm seeing about him for the rest of this year, he is on a massive PR exercise. It's all about press, it's all about publicity, and it's all about money. And you can see the money is already pouring in almost suspiciously quickly. He raised $750,000 just overnight almost. He's got backing, and do you notice how much he's got the support of the press? I noticed that Sky News went to his rally in Birmingham. They were very complimentary. They said, oh, he's got lots of supporters. There's the old, young, educated, their families. Oh, not like the kind of UKIP supporters who they took time to disparage in the rest of that comment. So the media are fully on board with him, which I also find suspicious. Have the media forgotten that he used to be the sort of Nigel Farage that was criticized by being too far to the right? No, they've jumped on board with his new spin, his new PR, and they're quite happy with his new message, which has gone away from a lot of things, and it's about, oh, we'll get Brexit and we'll drain the swamp. But what really is the point of getting Brexit if we're not going to fulfill some of the reasons people voted Brexit? If you look around the whole of Europe, people are voting for parties like the Finns Party, the Vox Party, the AFD, because they have concerns still about cultural changes. They have concerns about cultural Marxism. They have a lot of concerns which I don't think he's addressing because he wants to be popular and wants to be popular with the media. A lot of my friends think, oh, well, he's just really clever. He's rebranding himself in that way, but at the end of the day, he will return to those issues because he knows his core base want them. I'm not terribly sure if that's a strategy that he is following or going to always work, is going to work, or whether he'll love the power so much that he'll be rather scared to disappear down alleyways that he feels might be controversial. The important point is this. I think he will be elected. I think the Brexit Party will do well. I think that's fairly obvious from the polls. I think going towards the end of the year, you'll see us leave. Now, that creates a crisis point for him, because if we do leave the EU, then what's he going to talk about? He's out of the European Parliament. The Brexit Party is virtually finished. Like I say, the only point of this EU election for the Brexit Party is to prove as a referendum, which I think strangely enough, Labour were kidnapping with this one. They've just kind of woken up to that now, and they tried to brand themselves as the party of Remain, which is kind of difficult because there's still the Lib Dems and SNP. There are lots of Remain parties for people to vote for. So Lord Adonis apparently said, if you're a Brexiteer, don't vote for Labour. Fair enough. He's going to steer more people Nigel's way. So there is a limit to how this Brexit Party can operate in terms of Europe. It's going to come a time when they'll have to have other policies if they want to be a player. But I do think that there's going to be either, I'm not too certain about a general election, but a seat will become available somewhere in the country, probably in Kent or the southeast. Someone will resign, there'll be a scandal or something, a seat will become available, and Farage will run for that seat and he will win it. And I think by April next year, he will be an MP. It's possible if we have a referendum, the amount of money being plugged into the Brexit Party, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a couple of Brexit Party people that win seats. But let's keep it at this. A seat will come available. He'll run for it. He will become an MP. And it might even be possible that some Tory MPs defect to the Brexit Party. So they will have a small contingent in Parliament. From that, they will form an alliance with the Tories and develop policy. And through that, if they are in an alliance with the policy, he is going to achieve power. Because the significant thing that I see that's happening in his chart that's coming up in the next 4 years is that his sun is going to be square his ascendant Pluto conjunction. That's power. That it definitely signifies to me political power, and he will achieve a position, and it'll be beyond MP. How exactly that works out, I'm not quite sure yet, but he will achieve a position. Plus, he's got solar arc Jupiter opposite the moon. He's got the appeal of the public. The public are going to love him, right? a large amount of people. I see his support going through the roof. So whether he's a con man or a spinner or whether he's genuine, doesn't matter. People are going to buy into it, and he's going to have so much momentum behind him that he'll be like almost the Pied Piper. He will have so much followers and so much support. He'll have to be taken seriously and either absorbed into the Tory party or taken on as an advisor or even possibly as a minister. He might even, at the end of the day say, okay, Brexit party's ended. We're merging now with the Conservative Party. And from that, he will go on to be a minister. He is going to rise to some sort of power, and it's quite interesting how we'll see it unfold. And the thing that I see is he is very effectively bringing in money. So there's a lot of wealth being generated, probably a lot of personal wealth for him, and a lot of wealth going into his political funds where he'll be able to run campaigns. There is going to be, like I say, a huge amount of advertising and PR. He's got a lot of money, and he is going to use it on social media, buying ads, traditional ads, wielding his influence. And who knows, a lot of Tories will come under his sway because people gravitate to someone who is powerful and who is charismatic, and they'll probably see that he is an important person to align them with. So therefore, I see it going forward, a lot of power. So let's keep an eye on this and see how it goes on, and see whether this Brexit party itself is successful, or whether it's just a vehicle for him to become more popular, gain support, and sort of leverage his way into government in some way. But a lot of it, all this PR and advertising and all this winning of support, it's 3 to 4 years, which would kind of tie in with when there might be another general election, right? But yes, sooner than that, he will win a seat. But coming to the general election 3-4 years' time is when, again, he's going to totally capitalize on all this power and all the momentum he's built up. Only sort of problem with him is health. So I think he needs to stop smoking now and take a lot better care of his health, because that's the fly in the ointment for him that might ruin his ambitions. As for me, the jury's out on whether he is going to result in a positive change in politics or just a lot of power for himself and a lot of hot air, because there are a lot of changes many of us want to see in the direction this country is going in. And I'm not sure he's going to bring those. I think a lot of countries across Europe have elected governments now, or are voting for parties that do have an opportunity to bring changes that people really want. But I'm not sure if he's going to be that person, or if it really is just about him, and whether the facade of bringing us anything has gone out the window. He's just become a little bit too mainstream, and I don't think he's necessarily talking about the things we want him to. If he does and can and will in time, great. If he does helps us to do trade deals, great. But definitely for me, the jury's out, and I do agree that this is the whole Brexit party is so strongly supported now in the media and financially, because it's seen as a way to almost save the Tories and to save us from Jeremy Corbyn as well. So it's a stopgap there to stop votes from going off to UKIP and going off to Labour. It will kind of scoop up all these disenfranchised, disaffected people who voted Brexit and who don't want to vote Tory anymore into a safe little bubble that Nigel can gently steer back to the Conservative Party at a later date. So those are my predictions. As I say, let's watch out for his next move. I'd say it's MP and then on to something more significant via that. Hope that all made sense. Hope you liked it. Have everyone had a fantastic Easter weekend. It's been quite nice to have a break from Theresa May and Brexit. So we'll see what happens going forward the rest of this year.